Hey, my dear Nightshades, it's Otti again. I'm sitting here in an online call with Gözde from AUX ANIMAUX. Hi, first of all.
Hi.
Hi. We will talk about your music and your new album at this evening because it's rather, it came out a few days ago,
Yep.
the new album. But first of all, as I probably will have some watchers, some people that watch our interview that absolutely don't know who you are. So maybe you can introduce yourself and say what's your music all about.
Sure. So I'm AUX ANIMAUX. I'm a solo artist, originally from Istanbul, Turkey, and now I live in Sweden. I've been here for about 15 years and a little bit more even. Yeah, I do my own thing. It's hard to describe. I sort of sometimes call it dark wave, but it's not always dark wave. Like this album borders a little bit to EBM even. So sometimes I call it haunt wave, what I do, because it's a lot of like horror influenced music slash visuals in my music. And yeah, I'm a solo artist, so I do everything by myself. I write, produce, mix, and do my videos. A little bit of a control freak. I also perform solo on stage.
I've seen you at the beginning of this year. We first met at Ocean Beds Festival, yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was really cool, your performance.
Yeah, that was my first time in Germany.
Yeah.
So.
And now we will talk about your touring stuff later because you have done a lot more shows now. But let's keep to the basics at first. So how did all this start? How did you say, or when did you say, okay, I have to do my own project. I want to express myself this way.
Yeah. In the very beginning, actually, we were two people. So we did the first two EPs together, one of which you can't find online anymore because I deleted it from everywhere because it didn't sit right with me musically anymore. And it was just more like this endeavor to find the right sound and learning still music production. So I'm actually a bass player and I'm coming from there originally. And with AUX ANIMAUX, it was the first time I was ever using a synthesizer. I didn't even know what a synthesizer was before that. And yeah, so we were two. We released the first EP and then he quit. And after that, I released the second EP that we had done together, which is Stockholm Syndrome. You might be hearing our dog because I think Jonas, my husband, just came home, who is the drummer of Then Comes Silence as a context for people watching. Anyway, then I continue solo from there on. So since then, I've been doing everything all by myself, and I have released two EPs. The Hydesville episode, which is more like sort of like a soundtrack vibe. EP with not so many vocals, but more like composing sort of a soundtrack to a horror movie that's playing in my head. And Hauntology, that one is more like a normal EP with 4 original songs and 4 remixes from Swedish artists that are my friends, as Priest and Tobias Bernstrup. And what else did I have? Oh, Majesto Lux, of course, Connie. And the last one I did the remix myself because that song we had mixed together with Allgemeinen. So I evened it out. And now I released Body Horror, my first long play.
I just got my Glühwein, so cheers.
Cheers, skål.
Thank you. Yes, Beatrice said it's Glück in Swedish. Glück?
Yeah, glögg, exactly. Yeah. I'm just sticking to beer tonight.
Yeah. Simply beer is always a good choice, I think.
Yep.
So, and I think one important thing about your music is that you use theremin or theremin, not to pronounce it. It's one of the instruments of your choice that makes your music special to maybe many other synth bands or electro bands. So how did this come up? How did you discover the theremin for you?
I think I saw I had seen it a while back, long time ago, and it sort of stuck to me when YouTube was sort of new. Then when I started AUX ANIMAUX, I think I was like watching a lot of videos to learn about synthesizers and stuff like that. And then I saw this video that Moog had released with Dorit Chrysler, who is originally a Swiss theremin player. Oh, there's your cat. Yeah, we'll see if mine shows up. Yeah, I saw this video with Dorit Chrysler. She now lives in New York and is head of New York Theremin Society. And it was very cool. They had recorded this live video in CERN in Switzerland. And yeah, I got hooked when I saw this. I was like, minds are blown. And she used the theremin in that video too. Yeah, so I started to get looking into it, and I got one. I have watched insane amount of videos on YouTube from thereminists and started practicing, and I think I got it, and then like a year later I was using it on stage. So it took some time. It takes some time to learn because I don't only make noise like most people who play do, like in psychedelic and stuff. I actually play clean tones with it too. So yeah, I sort of developed my own technique that works for me.
I think it's rather difficult to learn, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not one for people who get easily bored by the learning process. Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah, and it needs some space because it's a radio antenna. You're playing the radio waves basically, so you have to have some space around it. That's why on stage, if a stage is sort of small and the audience is super close, I usually tend to set it a little bit back because if people move on this side, then it feels it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we have to do some mathematics for it.
Oh yeah.
To see
A lot of mathematics for sure.
Yeah, sure. So, and now you have your new album. So, if I understand, it's the first full-length album. You have two EPs,
Yeah.
and it's Body Horror is the title.
Yeah.
So maybe it's some of these stupid standard questions, but maybe you can explain what's the idea behind the title.
Sure, yeah, because I don't have any songs with that name in the album, so I understand that you're curious. Well, I got the idea mostly from because, like I said, I love horror movies, and that's like really my thing. And I'm very much inspired both visually by horror movies, but also the soundtracks. Like that's how I got into it. That's why I want to do synth music because I love like John Carpenter and stuff. And so body horror is a genre of horror movies, such as like Videodrome and Fly and stuff like that, where the body is sort of, well, how can I explain, like transformed, mutilated or whatever. And I had a lot of health problems during this year that I wrote the album. A lot of problems with my heart and stuff like that. So I was living in my own body horror as well. So it's sort of a reference to that, but also horror movies, which I draw a lot of inspiration from when I write music.
Yeah. As I've seen, for example, one song, Night, is especially inspired by John Carpenter and this, by vampire movies.
And I have a quote from Bela Lugosi as Dracula in the beginning of that one.
So you're absolutely into vampire stories and vampire.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah.
But I hope the good ones, the ones with blood vampires and not with glittering vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And another special thing, you mentioned it at the beginning, but I hope people really understand. It's the first time you use EBM styles in your music, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So how did this come up, and what are your favorite EBM musicians, for example, that you got inspired by?
Well, I really don't know how it happened, but while I was listening to all of different stuff, I realized that I was really into stuff with like dark, cool bass sequencers. Like DAF, or I don't know if you say DAF or DAF.
DAF. Most people in Germany say DAF, yes.
Sure, yeah, exactly. We say DAF in Sweden too. And yeah, and also I was also inspired by like newer bands like Potoshkin from France. I absolutely love them. They're really, really good live as well. So yeah, it just happened. And I actually did most of those EBM-ish songs with this little one here. It's Roland 06A, and I don't have the old Juno, unfortunately, but this one works miracles. And I know that Portishead's Jeff Barrow swears by it, and I have all these like a little bit more cooler stuff, but this one does more than all of them. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest instruments can be the coolest results in electronic music, I think.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
And I know there's a big audience for electronic music in Sweden. So you have a big community for synth music, for electronic music.
Yeah, I played actually at Buddyfest here in September, and that one is like, yeah, Buddyfest, EBM Fest, basically. And I played with Duff and met Robert Girl, who was one of the people who inspired this album. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes,
And there are more topics we won't talk about every song, but I know, for example, animal rights are something you are really into. And one song is, let's call it right, Lost Souls.
yeah.
So this is about your veganism, about animals and stuff. So maybe you can talk a little bit. What's the idea behind this? What has inspired you to get vegan, for example?
It was the animal abuse, and the torture, and I have been vegan for over 10 years now, and yeah, I think I became vegetarian first and then vegan, but it was mostly, yeah, I started to find out about what's really going on, animal factories and all that, and I love animals. I have my own animals, so it really didn't sit right with me. And yeah, once I became vegan, I was like, yes, this is how it should be.
There's something that expresses in your music, and even I think in the band's name somehow.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, aux animaux is it means two animals in French, and actually I didn't want to come up with a French name, but everything I tried to get in English was already taken. So I was living in France at the time. I was learning French, and I was like, I came up with aux animaux, and I liked sort of like the symmetry of it also. When it's written, it starts with aux and then ends with aux, and then aux is also a little bit musical reference too. So yeah, I like this.
It's cool, yes. And somehow it's funny because you are one person, but you're totally international. You can say you come from Turkey, you live in Sweden, you have a French project name and sing in English.
Yeah.
So there's not much more that can happen. Maybe using German synthesizers, for example. So, and let's come back to the album. So, when you look at the album as a whole, what makes you really proud of it, as it's your first full length?
I think I sort of found my sound finally with this one, and I'm happy with all of the songs. Of course, I'm very self-critical, so I'm always like, oh, I should have done more with the drums here and there. But other than that, in general, I like the whole of it, and it sits. They sort of sit well together, the songs, sound-wise and concept-wise, I think. So yeah.
And
For once, I'm happy with the result.
that's most important. But as it's out for a few days now, and you sure got some reviews, so what have been the reactions from press, but also from people you know or from fans that you have?
Yeah, I got really good feedback actually, which of course made me very happy because every time I release something, I'm always super nervous. I'm like, what if people don't like it or whatever? And because it's like you create this thing and you share it with the world, and of course you want people to like it. It's like part of you. And yeah, I did 2 shows, but she passed away this past weekend. So the first one was the day I actually released the album in Stockholm, so in my sort of now hometown, and the other one in Helsinki. And yeah, it was really good, great response, and it was amazing public in Stockholm, and the guys were very happy too. Of course, it was sold out. So yeah, we had a lot of fun, and Doruk from She Passed Away mastered the album too. So yeah.
So there's another connection.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been touring a lot this year with the guys, so I'm really happy they sort of took me under their wings.
Yeah, I think so. So I've seen we have done a lot of shows this year after we met. So what have been the most exciting moments you had this year?
Oh gee, let me think. It was a lot of really, really exciting stuff. I mean, first the tour we did with She Passed Away in Germany. It was like sort of the first long tour I had done in many, many years. As I mentioned, I was a bass player when I lived in Turkey, so I used to tour a lot back then. But I hadn't in a long time, and that was a lot of fun, and it was nice to just have that lifestyle again. Then we did another longer tour with Then Come Silence. That was also a lot of fun. And they're like basically family as well. So yeah, and then I play with the Soft Moon, who is like one of my absolute favorite artists. So it was super nice meeting him and seeing live as well, and also Duff. And the Stockholm concerts have been amazing. And also Germany, I think like most of the people who at least I see buy my music on Bandcamp are from Germany. So yeah, it's really nice to finally start to have an audience there.
So it seems that you have more reasons to come over to Germany in the future, and we will meet you.
Yeah, I mean, I
again.
will play at one major festival this year, but I'm not allowed to say which one yet. So,
Okay.
so let's leave like a little cliffhanger there.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll be curious, and maybe we meet there.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe. Yeah.
That'd be lovely.
So, but maybe we can talk a little bit about your story again, because you mentioned it as well, or again, that you have been living in Turkey, where you come from,
Yeah.
being a bass player. So what brought you to Sweden? What was the idea, or what was the reason you got to Sweden?
Actually, I just wanted to move to somewhere like in Europe, and I was just sick of living in Turkey. It was just like very patriarchal culture. As I said, I was touring a lot, and by a lot I mean we were doing like a sort of 250 gigs in 2 years and stuff. So I got to see a lot, sort of, and which made me want to move away even more as a woman living there. Maybe it's another thing for guys, but it's another thing for women and also like LGBT people. I think like a lot of my gay friends and stuff have also moved abroad because it's not still accepted really in most of the society. So that was the main reason. And then Sweden was because it was just free education here at the time, and I came here to do my master's at the time in English literature. Yeah, and then I stayed.
And what's the most beautiful about Sweden? What would you say? What's really cool about the country?
Two things. One, the summers when the weather is good, it's very beautiful here in Stockholm, and you're in with both the city and the nature, and that's very like special. And the other thing is the scene, really. When I look at most of Scandinavia, I see that we still have like the best scene here. So we always have a lot of concerts, and people are like, the community is really tight. Everyone knows each other. So I don't know. It's like that in Germany too. I think when I go there, I mean, this year I have played shows several times in some cities. So I met the same people that came and said hi, and so I could see that there's also like sort of a tight knit community in the scene there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I heard a lot positive about it. I've never been to Sweden till now, but we want to come over someday to see, for example, Then Come Silence, and you maybe together.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had
So,
called Transmission here 2 weeks ago. They came to see the festival, Future Retro, and Then Come Silence also. So
they're friends of us as well. Cool.
I guess
Cool
that,
guys, yes.
yeah.
Yes. And as you mentioned it, so we can talk about it. Jonas from Then Come Silence is your husband, but you totally separate your music. You don't do it together, or do you sometimes support each other with it, besides playing together?
Yeah, no, we're so busy both, so not really. And also, I think it's nice to keep something separately as well, since we live together already and we tour together already. And well, we do collaborate though. I have done vocals twice for Then Come Silence, and in this album that is gonna come out next year, I played theremin on a track. And when I make my songs in the making, because I'm a solo artist, I don't have anyone else to sort of discuss the songs with as in a band context. So I usually play the songs to both Alex and Jonas just to get like a second opinion. What do you think about this? Is there something that sounds crazy or whatever? Or, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
in that sense, we still like work together a little bit.
But you don't do music as a project together?
No, we tried that. I think it was a long time ago, though, sort of like 4 or 5 years ago. But it was like we were so busy. He had also Club Död back then, so you know, because he was booking shows here and stuff. Yeah, it was just like we didn't have the time. I think if we did it, I was gonna be the one doing most of the work, and I was like, I already have one project that I have to everything, so I don't want another one.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about the future. You mentioned there will be a bigger festival, but you can't talk about it. But maybe you can tell for people that haven't looked at your schedule yet what's coming and you can talk about. So what shows are announced now?
So far, I have 4 shows coming up with Pascal. We are doing Prague, Brno, also in Czech Republic, and then Vienna, and also Jönköping here in Sweden together. And then I have Odense with over 9, and we have with Agent Sidegrinder and Emmen, we have one Stockholm show, all in February. And then I'm doing some more shows in Sweden. And I'm still in process of booking. I might do a UK tour in the spring. It's not confirmed yet. It's so difficult these days because it depends a little bit on the financial issues as well, since people have a hard time selling tickets with this economy and everything. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think more shows will be added.
But it looks that you really have a good international schedule, not only limited to 1 or 2 countries. You really get around and are booked in all over Europe and USA. You have played.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I hope to do more shows in Germany, though. I really do.
I hope so as well. And if you compare this, your current schedule, your current shows, being alone or at your own, so to what you did back then when you have been a bass player. So what's cooler now? What's cooler being on your own? And maybe what do you miss from maybe being in a band, for example?
Well, when I played bass, it was like I was sort of playing for someone. So it was like their music, which I wasn't like super fan of. It was sort of like pop rock, but it was a great experience because like that was my actual job, you know. I made a living from it, and I'm not like the kind of person to sit and work in the office, you know. It doesn't work for me. I did it for a while, but yeah, it does make me happy. So in that sense, it was nice, and it was a great experience. Of course, I sort of developed a lot, both as a human but also as a musician during that period. But then when I do this by myself, as AUX ANIMAUX, then it's like, well, I have full control and I have responsibility over the whole thing. So if I do good, I do good. But then if I fuck up, also it's my fault. So yeah, I don't have anyone else to blame or anything.
So, and besides the upcoming shows, what are your plans for next year, for 2024? What's coming?
Yeah, so just to book more shows, I guess. And also, I guess I will start working on new music now that the tours are finally over for this year. So I'm starting slowly to work on new songs, I think, from like maybe next week or something.
Oh, cool. So we'll keep our ears and eyes open what's coming.
Yeah.
Do you have some message, some wishes you want to do to the audience?
Buy my records.
Buy my records is typical. Beatrice has mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, oh, and also if you guys want to see me where you live, please tell your local promoters so I can come and play.
Yeah. Great. So thank you for the nice talk.
Thank you.
Thank you guys outside for watching and listening. And check out AUX ANIMAUX shows, new album, not blood, body horror, sorry. And yeah, I think we'll meet again next year.
Yeah.
So, cheers.
Take care. See you.